Now, never in my life, I think, have I been felled by so much positive press for an author as for Elizabeth Strout. She is everywhere, but usually she just says, "Oh, I'm just a girl from Maine and New Hampshire." Her latest, The Burgess Boys, is a novel following two brothers returning to their homeland, and their long-buried tensions begin to surface. And this is a big smash, this book. Her characters are not always admirable. Some of them are downright not nice, but they are always compelling and true and different. I raced back after my ignorance reading the Burgess Boys to her prize-winning Amy and Isabel and to the other book, Abide With Me. And now I'm reading her Pulitzer Prize winner, Olive Kitteridge. Where was I all this time when Elizabeth Strout was dominating American fiction? Where was I? Will she ever stop winning and winning us? And she is here tonight with her husband, a former Attorney General from the state of Maine. Oh, and we forgot that she won the Penn Faulkner Award and the Orange Prize in England. They now live in New York, which is only right and proper because we deserve her. And so tonight we give you a big, talented, wonderful winner, Elizabeth Strout. Great.
Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. It is an organization that I feel very strongly about, so it's wonderful to be here. I'm going to read to you two very, very short, tiny little scenes from my new book, The Burgess Boys. The very beginning is a prologue where the writer is talking to her mother, who still lives in Maine, and I'll just read the very end of that and then explain the next step. And so it began, like a cat's cradle connecting my mother to me and me to Shirley Falls. Bits of gossip and news and memories about the lives of the Burgess kids supported us. We repeated and reported. I told my mother again about the time I had come across Helen Burgess, Jim's wife, when they lived, as I once did, in the neighborhood of Park Slope in Brooklyn. My husband and I one night found ourselves dining near Helen and a friend in a Park Slope cafe, and we stopped near Helen's table as we were leaving. I'd had some wine, I suppose that's why I stopped, and I said to her that I'd come from the same town Jim had grown up in. Something happened to Helen's face that stayed with me. A look of quiet fear seemed to pass over it. She asked my name and I told her, and she said Jim had never mentioned me. No, I was younger, I said. And then she arranged her cloth napkin with a little shake and said, I haven't been up there in years. Nice to meet you both. Bye-bye. My mother thought that Helen could have been friendlier that night. She came from money, remember. She'd think she was better than someone from Maine. This sort of remark was one I had learned to let go. I no longer bothered myself with the defensiveness of my mother and her Maine. But after Susan Burgess's son did what he did, after the story about him had been in the newspapers, even in the New York Times and on television too, I said on the phone to my mother, I think I'm going to write the story of the Burgess kids. It's a good one, she agreed. People will say it's not nice to write about people I know. My mother was tired that night. She yawned. Well, you don't know them, she said. Nobody ever knows anyone. The second very tiny scene is from the point of view of Abdi Karim, who is a Somali immigrant who came to Maine to live as a secondary migrant, having come there from camps in Kenya and then through Portland. And I chose this section because it seemed to me to contain something of what we're here for tonight, the sense of separateness, of otherness that exists when one doesn't have the basic tools to understand or be understood. All of it and all that came before it caused a heaviness inside Abdi Karim. It was a heaviness that grew with each passing month, so that to go or to stay, he could not make the decision. He saw how some of the young people here managed. They laughed, joked, talked with excitement. His eldest daughter had arrived half-starved and knowing no English, and already when she called him from Nashville these days, he heard excitement in her voice. He felt too old for the spring of excitement to return to him again, and he felt too old to learn English. Without that, he lived with the constancy of incomprehension. In the post office last month, he had mimed and pointed to a square white box, the woman in her blue shirt repeating and repeating, and he did not know, and everyone in the post office knew. And finally a man came to him and crossed his arms quickly toward the floor, saying, "Fini!" And so Abdi Karim thought the post office was finished with him, and he must go, and he did go. Later, he found out the post office was out of the boxes they had sitting on the shelf with price tags on them. Why did they show them if they did not have them to sell? Again, the incomprehension. He came to understand this had a danger altogether different from the dangers in the camp. Living in a world where constantly one turned and touched incomprehension, they did not comprehend, he did not comprehend, gave the air the lift of uncertainty. And this seemed to wear away something in him. Always he felt unsure of what he wanted, what he thought, even what he felt. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
My dear.
Okay, thank you.